Before I read this next question, let me just give you guys a brief overview of the people I come from while I've been living in America. So I'm black and indigenous. I don't know how else to explain that part, but I don't necessarily describe myself as just black. I consider myself to be a darker pigmented melanin person. I have a certain lineage that describes this vessel that I'm in on that cultural aspect or that cultural viewpoint, where it could be African, it could be Cuban, Afro-Cuban, it could be Afro-Australian, it could be anything Afro. That's where I'm part of. I come from that bloodline, right? That particular bloodline has been oppressed in America for a lot of years. Some people will disagree, especially some politicians that, of course, keep their head in their ass and are racist as fuck and pretend like nothing goes on with mass incarceration and over-policing our communities and birth control and also disease and drugs and famine created amongst a systemic timeline and over decades and over centuries of time. So I'm gonna clock it for you guys real quick. Let me just give you the breakdown. So this is where I'm at. That's my black side, right? I got a long history being in America. Family telling me what's going on, who's treating us well, who's been treating us unfairly, all the cultures we should get along with, and then having to still have a good heart, knowing that we were, me and my ancestors were treated like this. Liberation has always been at the forefront of my mind, especially coming from that community. And if it isn't, then I know that I'm aiding into the destruction of my community, because liberation is really the function that needs to be at the forefront. And don't get, again, this is just me speaking. You guys can go and search other people that have similar voices to mine that are also speaking about the same things, but in their own way, right? I am just representing my space, but as an indigenous black man, especially black man, that's where my culture is. Now, on the indigenous side, I am a Lakota man. Lakota, Lakota. My name is Ayla. It was given to me by my elders and also some of my family members. It means little mountain. I have family that comes from North Dakota, South Dakota, also very tied into Nakota and the Dakotas. I won't say Sioux, but we all have different subsects into our tribe and subcultures within that. Now, we are all indigenous, but if you look at American government versus the indigenous population here in America, there's a lot of history that has been told and also purposefully hidden. So I remember, one of, our family friends came up to me and he was like, "Oh man, so you doubly fucked. You doubly fucked." I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Oh, you black and native." Oh shit. Look at those two sides of the coin. I mean, do you realize who you are? And I said, okay. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research. I didn't understand what that meant, but that was, it was new for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm black and native or black and indigenous. What does that mean? And then I started looking at other countries and I started looking at the continents and I started looking at the history, and I noticed that there's a lot of indigenous populations that has been murdered senselessly, irresponsibly. I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of this history that I'm referring to. Again, this is important for me to get out to you guys so you have a better understanding of where my thought process comes from. Me being a kid and then also getting older and learning all this, what do you think you would feel if you found out that not just one family member, but hundreds of millions of your ancestors were murdered? Hundreds of millions. I think we would all have different reactions. I'm gonna just say that. For me, I went a little crazy. I went a little crazy when I found that out, because I said, there's no fucking way that they would get away with this. And when you see who's responsible and you see the bloodlines that are responsible, it's hard to just keep it cordial out here. I'm not angry at anybody. I'm not trying to cause any harm to anybody. I'm not out here, guns blazing, trying to. No, I'm just fully aware of what's capable of who I'm going against. My enemies. Let's call it what it is. There's no ops. It's just real enemies. This is systemic. This has more to do with learning about who you're destined to be, and honestly, never allowing the system to get in your way again. I'm here to represent that, but also tie in some of the political necessary steps that were not taken to integrate people into a fair society. I don't know if you've ever been to a reservation, but just maybe when you get some time, just ask some of your native indigenous friends what's been happening. And the thing about it is that a lot of us are indigenous, but we are colonized in the mind. We have colonized our minds, so we're not able to see when people are actually trying to help. But if you know anything about PTSD, and when you deal with real life circumstances that your family has dealt with, and then you're burdened with that, and you don't know where to ask for help, that's why we're here, you guys. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about what's going on in the res. We're here to talk about what's going on in the quote-unquote hood. Because guess who's the fuck, excuse my language as I say this, guess who's cosplaying black culture and native and culture all the time? You tell me who's cosplaying and stealing cultures. It's not me. It's not me. I don't have to cosplay being black. I don't have to cosplay being native. I don't have to cosplay my culture. I don't have to pretend that to say things like I don't have to do that. And this isn't, again, shots at anybody. This is not. My enemies, you guys, I will say who my enemy is. I have no enemies that you know of. Okay? Respectfully, this is not your fight. Some of you guys will understand, some of you guys won't. But again, this is not your fight. I'm just explaining to you what's going on through the thought process and lens of me. The way I think. The way I feel. Because this is the way I grew up. It's the only story I know. I'm trying to bring you guys into my world as best I can without affecting a friendship that could be developed in the future, because we need each other. Whether you believe it or not. And it ain't for money. It's not for money, you guys. That money, that money on. Hey, I'm going to give y'all the real raw advice one day about money and how I feel about money. But until then, let's stay on track, okay? We are here to protect one another, but also for you guys at home that are watching this, to break down the system the best way you know how. You know? I'd love to have a session with some of y'all, right? Like, so you guys know how cool I am in person. And I don't say cool like, yo, I'm just like, I'm not tapping myself, I'm cool. I'm just saying, like, we would have a great time. We would have a great time. I know we'd have a great time. I honestly want to throw a small festival where we could just have truth tellers, truth speakers, talking, playing music, vibing, fire out. Fire in your hand, you know what I'm saying? Drinks in your hand if you drink, you know what I'm saying? Cigars, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever y'all want to do. I feel you, you know? And again, this goes back to what I was saying of just, this is what comes in my bloodline. This is what comes from my culture. Despite what happened to us, we still embrace people. You know what I'm saying?